Have you ever fought a battle or gotten into a fight to save someone only to become the enemy? Let me tell you the story of a man who rose to save his people but was branded a fugitive. What drives a man to risk everything and lead a breakaway republic? This is a story of courage, conflict, and controversy. Join me as I unravel the events that led to the Nigerian Civil War and the legacy of the man behind Biafra. Born in Zungeru, a town in Niger State, Nigeria, on the 4th of November 1933, to a man called Lois Odumegwu, who was a very wealthy businessman. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu was a man of great courage. His family was from the present-day Nnewi, Anambra State, and his father, as I said, was a very wealthy businessman. He had his hands in textile, transportation, and a host of other businesses. In fact, sometime during this World War II, he was known as one of the wealthiest men in Nigeria. Scratch that. He was known as the wealthiest man in Nigeria. Chukwuemeka attended CMS Grammar School at 10 years old in 1943, and later Epsom College, United Kingdom, and Lincoln College, Oxford University, where he earned a master's in history before returning back to Nigeria in 1956. Ojukwu was eager to break away from his father's hold in his career. Let me go! So he left his job as an administrative officer in Ude, present-day Enugu State, and joined the military as a non-commissioned officer in Zaria.
Let me tell you a secret.
History has it that his father pulled strings to prevent him from getting a position as an officer cadet, thinking that the grueling and rigorous schedule of an NCO will make him back out, but Ojukwu had other plans. He stuck to it and did very well. His stellar performance spoke for itself, and it made the British depot commander recommend him for an officer commission. From Zaria, Emeka proceeded to the Royal West African Frontier Force Training School in Teshe, Ghana, then to Eastern Hall, where he received his commission in 1958 as a second lieutenant. He attended infantry school in Warminster and the small arms school in Hythe. He was then assigned to the Army's 5th Battalion in Kaduna. After serving under General Agi Ironsi in the United Nations Peacekeeping Force in the Congo, Ojukwu was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel in 1964 and posted to Kano, where he was in charge of the 5th Battalion of the Nigerian Army. Now you know, it's not my fault, but we can't speak about Ojukwu without speaking about Biafra. And we can't speak about Biafra without speaking about the several coups that led to the tension, which then led to the Civil War.
I think, barring some unforeseen accidents, barring a sudden change of circumstances, I think at this present rate we can go on for 2 years, 3 maybe. Our people are putting everything into it. They have resisted admirably, and I think they can continue for a long time.
You get it? So, saddle up, because this is about to become a long ride.
Let's go for a ride.
After Agi Ironsi took control of the country, successfully becoming the first military head of state in January 1966, he appointed military governors for the 4 regions. Odumegwu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu was made military governor for the Eastern region. By 29 May 1966, the 1966 Anti-Igbo Program began. Now, if you don't know what the 1966 Anti-Igbo Program means,
Sit down and listen.
The 1966 Anti-Igbo Program was a time when the Igbos and other Southerners or Southeasterners were being killed. It is said that about 8,000 to 30,000 people were massacred in that time. Now, you may wonder why a certain group of people were being killed. I'll tell you why. This Anti-Igbo Program also began because at some time in January 1966, a group of predominantly Igbo military officers staged a coup and assassinated a lot of, or let me say, assassinated majorly northern and western politicians. Not for anything, but because the northerners at that time were the people that were mainly leading the country then. Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Premier of the Northern Region, Sir Amadu Bello, the Premier of the Western Region, Samuel Akintola, were some of those affected or some of those that were killed during that January coup in 1966. The coup was seen in the North as an Igbo coup because, like I said before, most of the military officers that organized or carried out the coup were Igbo officers, and most of those who were affected, meaning most of those who were killed, were of northern origin. Although the coup was later prevented, but their actions had already caused deep-seated resentment against the Igbo people.
I resent you.
Among northern Nigerians. So you see, actions and reaction. Now, Ojukwu, concerned about his people's safety, did everything in his power to make sure that they will be safe, because as you know, in Nigeria, there are people from the south living in the north, there are people in the north from the north living in the south. Yeah, we are scattered. Everybody is living where they want to live. So when this happened, a lot of Igbo people that were living in the north were being massacred. Ojukwu, trying to prevent that, asked the people to come back home, and he had spoken to other military governors, and they had given their go ahead, or they had given their permission that Igbo people that will be returning home would be safe. On July 29, 1966, apart from the May 1966 AntiO Program that had occurred, a counter coup began, and it was arranged by a group of northern military officers, including the popular Major Murtala Mohammed, Major Theophilus Yakubu Danjuma, and Major Adamu. This counter coup is sometimes referred to as the July rematch because it was seen as a reaction to the January 1966 coup. The counter coup was characterized by a coordinated mutiny led by northern soldiers against the existing government, which they saw as predominantly Igbos.
Oh boy, problems.
They sought to restore northern influence and undo the changes caused by the January coup. So, like I said before, action and reaction, right? Let's go back a bit for clarity's sake. Now, the first coup in January 1966 was led by a group of predominantly Igbo military officers, right? And most of the people who died, or most of the casualties, were northern leaders, northern and western leaders, but northern mostly. Now, the second coup was done by military officers because they wanted to uproot the Igbo leaders, or those in government who were seen as predominantly Igbos. Now, it looks like after that January coup, like the Igbos had taken over the government. Now, the northern military officers wanted to restore power back to the north. So, you now have the rematch. If you do, I do, kind of situationship. This counter coup, or the rematch as it's popularly called, was less effective in the eastern region, where Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, we have to put that Odumegwu because the name is very strong. I don't know what Odumegwu means, but I feel like it means power, strength, force. You get it? So it was less effective because Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu was the military government there, and also because some northern military officers who were stationed in the east refused to be part of it. So can we just give those people a round of applause because they refused? I mean, for how long will you keep doing me I do you, do me I do you? You want to finish everybody. If they finish, the northerners do their own. The Igbos will say you have done, me I want to do. Then they will not say no, you did, you want to do. It's okay. Let peace reign. Peace and tranquility should be your motto. But anyway, I digress. Or give those northern military officers their flowers. I don't know who they are, but if you know that your father or your grandfather or your great-grandfather or your great-great-great-grandfather was a military officer and he served in the north, sometime in July 1966, well, we don't know if he may, we don't know what the state of mind was, but sometime in July 1966, we applaud you. In fact, we applaud your father, your great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather through you. Congratulations, outstanding citizen of Nigeria. The Supreme Commander at the time, General Agu Ironsi, traveled to the west, and him and his hosts, Colonel Fajui, were assassinated and killed in Ibadan. So, after Agu Ironsi was assassinated, Ojukwu wanted due process to be followed, and he wanted the person after Agu Ironsi to become the next Supreme Commander. That would have been, or that should have been, Brigadier Babafemi. But the leaders of the coup insisted that Lieutenant Yakubu Gowon take his place. Lieutenant Yakubu Gowon at that time was at the same rank, or on the same rank with Colonel Ojukwu. Yes. So you can say, now this Babatunde guy, you would expect that in the military, when they take your rights, you have to fight, you have to battle it out and all that. But there's something that happened. The battalion that he was in charge of were under Joseph Garba, who was also part of the coup. So that kind of tied his hands. He couldn't do much. I don't really understand the military, I'm telling you. And I was, in fact, while I was reading up on this, I was asking myself, how could it be that somebody who was so close in rank that he could have been a supreme commander had a battalion that he was in charge of, but the battalion was still under another person, and because the person was part of the coup, he couldn't use the force to enforce his authority, right, and take back his mandate. I don't know if I'll call him mandate or take back his position. I don't know. If you know, please put it in the comments, because me, I don't understand. I'm just here to tell the story. I'm not here to tell you about how the authority in the army works. So if you don't understand, go to Google. That's what I'll be doing as well. That's what I'll be doing. I'm going to go to Google and I'll find out. I should have found out before this video began, but so me.
Okay, sue me.
There was tension between Gowon and Ojukwu. I don't know what caused the tension. In fact, let me not say I don't know what caused the tension. You don't even know what caused the tension. You don't even know what caused the tension. How can you people? Okay, I don't know, but I'm gonna give a wild guess. Yeah. The thing is, I feel like, I mean, we're all human beings. And I want to believe that Ojukwu was a very straightforward guy, and he felt, like I said, he wanted Babafemi to take his position as a Supreme General. Now here comes Gowon and his people deciding that Gowon is going to be the Supreme General when he is a mate of Ojukwu. Me and you were on the same level. We're on the same level. You now want to come and become Supreme General? How? Who does that? If it's you, will you like it? If it's you, would you like it? Apart from the fact that he wanted to make sure that due process was followed, but then, I mean, it's a different ball game if, for some reason, because of an outstanding performance, you're picked from the group. Out of your peers, you're chosen and they decide to make you the leader. But it's also a different thing when you what's the word? It's a different thing when you bulldoze your way to becoming the leader. Yes, that's it. I said what I said. I said what I said. So yeah, I don't blame Ojukwu. Anyway, like I said, there was tension. Everyone was hot. Also, Ojukwu and what's that his name again? Yakubu Gowon. Don't think that I don't like Yakubu Gowon. I like him. I like him a lot. So yeah, where was I? General Yakubu Gowon. Let's say General Yakubu Gowon so that people know that I like him. Sometimes I don't like him, I like him. General Yakubu Gowon and Colonel Ojukwu now decided that okay, it was time to squash these heat, and so they went to a neutral environment. They went to Ghana to hold a peace conference hosted by General Joseph Ankara. It was agreed upon at the peace conference that the eastern region will become independent. However, upon their return, General Yakubu Gowon receded on the agreement and chose to declare the system of autonomy agreed upon and declared war against southern eastern Nigeria. Because of this, Ojukwu too now declared Eastern Nigeria as a sovereign state called Republic of Biafra, period. Do you see it? Do you see why I said this story is all about action and reaction? Or should we do action and reaction? Anyone? Action, reaction. Everybody is reacting to what one person did. You know what? This is a good place to give a lesson. This is a good place to give a lesson. The lesson is that sometimes it ends with you. Yes, sometimes it should end with you. It don't do. If you're fighting with somebody, you have a disagreement with somebody, or you're unhappy with somebody, sometimes when the person does something to hurt you, you don't have to do something back to hurt the person. Let it go. It's okay. Because guess what? When you hurt the person will not want to hurt you back. Sometimes it's not even you that they want to hurt, but it's I got it. It's a ripple effect in the sense that you hurt somebody, they want to hurt you back. Now, they may not even hurt you back, but they live with that hurt. They live with the trauma, and they end up hurting somebody else. Another person goes and hurts somebody else. Another person goes and hurts somebody else. It becomes a circle. It's okay. If somebody hurts you, take out time. Oh, child. Oh my God. It's not easy. It's not easy to be the bigger person, but you know what? Just take out time. If you need to, just be by yourself. Be by yourself. Be by yourself. Why do I like I'm talking to myself? But anyway, just be by yourself if you need to, and see if you can work it out so that you don't affect another person and that person goes on to affect another person, or so that you don't retaliate. You must not retaliate. Everything is not retaliation. You know, sometimes take the lesson. Okay, so I gave you an opportunity to be in my circle. I gave you an opportunity to be my friend, and you decided to misuse the opportunity. That's fine. Let me do it.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
On July 6, 1967, General Yakubu Gowon declared war on Biafra, and the war lasted for 2.5 long, painful, hunger-filled years.
Get off the road. Take cover.
Imagine how many people had died. Imagine how many people died during that war.
In a war, knowing the difficulties, the odds against us, there is an element of fatalism, people feeling, well, if the world chooses to abandon us, then perhaps it is better we all perish. They don't ever consider a Biafra not free. They believe in either Biafra free or no Biafra at all. That means none of us living to see it.
If I don't want the story for another day. But when it was obvious that the war was lost, Ojukwu was convinced that he should leave the country. I'm not saying, when I say he was convinced, I don't mean he was convinced by himself. I mean, people convinced him, or someone convinced him to leave the country so that he doesn't get assassinated. January 9th, 1970, he handed power over to his second in command, General Philip F. Young, and left for Ivory Coast. General Felix, who had recognized Biafra on 14th May 1968, granted him asylum, political asylum. So he was free, or he was able to go to Ivory Coast and leave.
I have my freedom, I have my self-respect.
13 years after living in exile, Ojukwu wanted to return home. So he reached out, and on 18th May 1982, President Shehu Shagari granted him a pardon to return to Nigeria as a private citizen, which was a big deal. It was a big deal because Ojukwu and the Nigerian government, there was tension between them. So the fact that Shehu Shagari allowed him to return to Nigeria as a private citizen was a big deal. It was a forgiving act. Thank you, Shehu Shagari. Not long after his return in 1983, he returned in 1982. In 1983, he decided to run for a seat in the Nigerian Senate, but unfortunately, Ojukwu lost. He lost by about 12,000 votes. However, there were suspicions of foul play, and in September 1983, a court tried to overturn the results because of election fraud, or citing election fraud as the reason why they were going to overturn the results. Unfortunately, again,
Bad luck.
before anything could come of the court ruling, the government of Shehu Shagari was overthrown in a military coup on December 31st, 1983. Now, so coup in Nigerian history. Una no dey tire. Coup here, coup there, coup here, coup there. You see what I'm saying? That they can arrest me. But imagine it. Imagine what I wanted to say. I've said it.
That's what she said. I said, not what I said.
After the coup, the new government led by General Muhammadu Buhari cracked down on politicians from the previous regime, and they arrested them. Ojukwu was one of those who was arrested, and he was sent to Kirikiri Maximum Prison. If you are not from Nigeria, Kirikiri Maximum Prison is the prison for the Odogu prisoners, like for strong prisoners. It's a strong maximum, like it's maximum prison. But fortunately, he was released. That Ojukwu was released in 1984. So now we can see that Ojukwu has transitioned from a military leader and a war figure into a politician, navigating the turbulent waters of Nigerian politics. Actually, not just Nigerian politics, because politics everywhere is turbulent. Like it or like it, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. That's it.
In 1994, Ojukwu married Bianca, a former beauty queen, who later became an ambassador in Nigeria, and together they had 3 kids. After Nigeria transitioned back to civilian rule, Ojukwu decided to try for presidency, but again, unfortunately, he didn't win. He tried in 2003, but he didn't win, and he tried in 2007, but he didn't win either. Ojukwu transitioned again from seeking an active political seat to being a political leader and a statesman.
At the end of the war, a policy of no victor, no vanquished was established.
He continued to speak on a lot of political issues.
But it remained for this to be put into practice in real terms. Igbos, as I saw them on my return, would seem to suffer some disabilities still. In fact, those disabilities they see as punishment, continued punishment for participating in the war.
Especially those affecting the Igbo people and their political landscape in Nigeria.
And in a country where we're all striving to forget the past and move forward to a brighter future, this constant reminder, this constant punishment, this constant reproach inhibited the Igbo through participation in Nigerian body politic.
He became closely associated with the All Progressive Grand Alliance, a political party that had a lot of force, with strong base in the southeastern part of the country.
They would like to feel that in Nigeria they could aspire to any position. They would like to feel that there are no limitations to their contributive capacity in Nigeria. They would like to feel that they could be appreciated fully in Nigeria. They would like to feel that they could be honored in Nigeria for their contribution.
In the years leading to his death, Ojukwu faced health challenges. In 2011, he suffered a stroke and he was flown to the UK for treatment. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu died at the age of 78 after suffering a brief illness. He died in the United Kingdom. His death marked an end to a remarkable life.
In short, the Igbo would like to feel that one day an Igbo could become president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
He was given the highest military honors by the Nigerian military. On February 27, 2012, a military funeral parade was held in Abuja as his body was flown back from London to Nigeria. His final burial took place on March 2nd, 2012. Ojukwu's burial was very grand. It was similar to that of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. The burial took a whole week. His body was taken to the 5 eastern states, Imo State, Anambra State, Abia State, Ebonyi, and Enugu states, as well as Abuja. His burial was done like that, a tribute to his deep significance in the eastern states and Nigeria as a whole. There are also services that were done for him in other parts of the world like USA, Texas, and even in Nigeria. Services were also held in Lagos, Niger State where he was born, and in other states. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu died at 78. He had 3 spouses when he died. Elizabeth Ojukwu, Stella Ojukwu, and Bianca Ojukwu, and he had 7 children. He lived an eventful life as a soldier and a politician, and his sacrifice for the Igbos will be forever remembered. In Nigeria, we are never going to forget about the Civil War. We are never going to forget about the Republic of Biafra. It's still staring us in our faces, and the implication of what happened so many years ago, we are still going through it. As a country, we have not healed. Left to me, we have not healed from the Civil War. We have not healed from all those coups that happened. There's still a lot of deep-rooted and deep-seated resentment. That deep-rooted, that means it came from somewhere, and deep-seated, that means it's still there, our belly. That's what I mean. Like deep-seated resentment against ourselves, against different ethnic groups. And reading Ojukwu's or learning about Ojukwu's story, you can see how he was trying to, you know, give his people a better life. And I really appreciate him for that. I really appreciate him for that. I mean, it couldn't have been easy. It's at such a time as then. I mean, it can't be easy now. It isn't easy now compared to then. So I'm grateful for his sacrifice. And if you ask any Igbo person about Ojukwu, in fact, ask them about their heroes in this country. Ask them about their heroes in Nigeria. One of the first person, in fact, ask let me say Igbo people first. One of the first people they will call is Ojukwu, because Ojukwu sacrificed a lot for Nigeria. He sacrificed his life because he could have been killed. He sacrificed his life trying to get the Igbo people a better future. And we have to appreciate that. Whatever anybody feels about Biafra, whatever anybody feels about the Igbos, whatever anybody feels about any ethnic group in Nigeria, you have to learn to appreciate those who stuck their neck out for other people, because it is not what? It is not easy, and that's on period. Yep. That's it. Tell me something you learned about Ojukwu, or tell me something about Ojukwu that I didn't talk about in this video, right? And suggest somebody from an African country, any African country that you think I should talk about their life or share about their history. So thank you guys, thank you so much for sticking with me. I know it's a long video. Before I go, like I usually would do, I want you to remember the lesson from this video, and the lesson is sometimes it is better to let go. Because why? Revenge can become a ripple effect. Like, it doesn't end with you, it doesn't end with the person that you're retaliating on. It keeps going. So, and you don't know what it may cause. You don't know the issues. You understand? I don't know what made those military officers in January 1966 to stage a coup that led to the death of a lot of northern leaders. But you can see how it spiraled into something else, and it caused the death of a lot of people. Do you understand? It caused the death of a lot of people, and even today we are still reaping the fruits of their actions. Now, I'm not even in any way saying they're wrong, because I don't know what caused it, and I'm not even judging them in any way or form. I'm just saying, be careful about what you do. Be careful of what you do, because you do not know whose life it will affect, and you don't know where to lead to. Yeah, so that's it basically. Until next time, I'm telling you, the next person I'm going to talk about, I'm kind of, in fact, the energy. Until next time. Mwah.